Okay, I had you guys try this one out on your own for number 6. I want to make sure you got the right work in there now. All right, make sure you got the right work, so please change it if it's incorrect because I was not able to get around to everybody. First of all, that's, they give me cosine, but the real question is, what quadrant am I in here? Quadrant 3. So starting by the end of today, because we're going to do more of these, we got to make sure we know how to set up a right triangle correctly in each quadrant. All right, and the trick I gave you guys was to draw yourself what's look like a bow tie looking figure, and you can see the right triangles in each. All right, so I'm going to use this right triangle right here. All right, in the third quadrant. They give me the value of cosine, so you guys got to be pretty good on SOHCAHTOA. What's cosine equal to as far as SOHCAHTOA goes? Adjacent over hypotenuse, because that'll tell me now that the adjacent side has to be 8 and the hypotenuse has to be 17. All right, I always go from my reference angle. That's the angle I always go from. So the adjacent side to this is 8 and the hypotenuse is 17. This is why this unit is very, very tricky to lose points here or there quickly. That 8, notice where it is on the x-axis. Woo, to the left side. What do you know about all the x's on the left side? Negative, so that 8's got to be negative. Hypotenuse, guys, never negative. Hypotenuse, never negative, then never put it negative. How am I going to solve for the third side? Pythagorean theorem. Okay, negative 8 squared plus x squared equals 17 squared. All right, this one, guys, along with 3, 4, 5, you may want to just remember 8, 15, 17. All right, 8, 15, 17. And again, where's that 15? Down on the y-axis. So I got to remember to make it what? Negative. Okay, so I got my right triangle figured out. Now I go to find what it asks, and that first one is, what is sine theta? Opposite over hypotenuse. And also, if you can, if not, it's fine, but make a mental note. You're finding sine in what quadrant? Third, so it should be negative. ASTC, it should be negative. All right, just if you forget, that's fine, as long as you set up your triangle correctly. All right, going over to you guys now. Here we go, number 9. How about 6? Opposite side of my reference angle. Negative 15 over hypotenuse. 17. So there's your sine value. Done? Any issues? Maybe the toughest part is, okay, now actually find theta to the nearest degree. What quadrant was this in again? It's in the third. So you know your angle has to be somewhere between 180 and 270 when you find it. Okay? We talked at length yesterday. How do I find the angle? Inverse button on your calculator. Inverse button. It's just a matter of you guys deciding, would you rather do inverse sine or inverse cosine? It's up to you. Do we have a class decision here? Sine, you got it. So I'll do inverse of sine using negative 15 over 17 when I find that angle. Good there? Go to your calculator. Inverse sine alpha y equals negative 15 over 17. I get that out, negative 61.9. You said it was in the third quadrant though, right? That's in the fourth quadrant. Even if you try to pull this on me, add 360, that's still in the fourth quadrant. What is this? What's the calculator actually giving you here? A reference angle, yeah. It's giving you the reference angle. What, about 62 if we round to the nearest degree? So it's telling you that reference angle is 62 degrees. Now, can you take that and find the angle in the third quadrant now? And how are you doing it? Can I get a little help? 8, can I get a little help? No 8? Thanks. How about 20? Can I get a little help? 20. What are you going to do with that 62, Michelle? Go ahead. If I add 360, I'm going to, not 360, but 180. There you go. So I'm going to add 180 and 62. So that angle will be
242.
Got it. Thanks. 242 degrees, which is in the third quadrant. You guys all good? Yes, Lily. And then, yep. Okay, so you got 118? Okay, that's fine. Ready? Think about this. Where's 118? Where? Second quadrant. So you need to take that 118 and move it to the third. So if I go, great question. We're still okay. So you had 118, right? Okay, so you got 118, but I got to move it to the third quadrant. So the reference angles always stay the same. So if you found your reference angle for 118, look where it becomes. 62. So now put that in the third. Okay, good? Good, Jill? Okay, good now? All right, good. Thank you, ladies, for bringing that up. Yes, Ashley? No, just go.
The reference angle, do you always, like, each time, could you just do 180
180. It depends on what quadrant you're in. Depends on what quadrant. That is if you're in the second quadrant. In the third quadrant, it's got to be 180 plus because you're going forward. All right? So only in the second quadrant. Anything else? Okay, next problem. I'm going to go over a bunch of review stuff here before I get to what I need to today. Page 32, number 7 now. Number 7. Draw it out. Can somebody give me a location on where 0, -2 is? 0, -2. Where on this graph can I plot 0, -2? Right, up, left, down. How about that? Or how about east, north, west, south? How about that as well? Lily? Down right here, right? This would be -2. So here's my point. What's that degree measure? I said it should be quick because darn right it should be quick. Don't say a word here. What should this angle measure be right here? 270. Sine and cosine. I've been trying to tell you guys, just do what? If it's on the line and you're finding sine and cosine, go. Just use your calculator. Just use your calculator. Sine of 270, cosine of 270. It's easier than trying to remember the points on the unit circle. Just make sure you're in degree mode because it'll give you some crazy answers, I bet. 4, sine of 270. Sorry. Cosine 270. Everyone all good? We understand why it's 270. Okay, still not done reviewing from yesterday. Page 33 in your packet. Page 33, whether you tried it or not for the assignment. Just trying to gauge where we are here. Find the exact value of sine of 5 pi over 4. Okay, need it in degrees. Need it in degrees. Here we go, 19 pi over 4.
Pi over 4, no, that's 45.
45 times?
5.
Go ahead.
225.
Thank you, 225. So really what I'm asking, guys, find the exact value of the sine of 225. And sure, go ahead, use your calculator all you want, but it's going to give you that crazy decimal I do not want written down. All right, 11, 225. We're at what quadrant am I in? Quadrant 3. What do you know about sine in quadrant 3? Perfect. Negative sine Get 225 lower, lower, lower. It should be 30, 60, or 45, one of those. 18.
I don't know.
225.
Yeah.
I'm basically asking for the reference angle for 225. Yep. Another way you could have gotten 45, guys. Remember at the beginning? This was what? 45, pi over 4. So there's the other way you could have gotten the reference angle in radians there. Okay. Now it goes unit circle. Unit circle, 45 degrees. Pick off the coordinate you think you got to pick off. And this number is never going to be different than 30, 60, 45, or one of them on the lines. You know, if I give you a 62, I did something wrong. And what's that value here? 17? Yep. Yep. 3? Radical 2 over 2, but what did we say at the beginning here, Ben? It's in the third quadrant in sine. Yep. And hey, on Wednesday, you can always check this using your calculator. All right, go ahead, do sine of 225 in your calculator right now. I know it's going to be a decimal. Watch how easy this is to remember. All right, I get that. Now plug in your final answer. Negative radical 2 over 2. Quick check to see if you're right. And I love you guys doing this because you know what the biggest mistake kids make? Forget the negative sign. All the time. All the time they forget the negative sign. So if you check it in your calculator, one comes out to be negative and your answer comes out to be positive. Oh, shoot, I should put a negative on it. All right? That's why I love you guys just taking, what did that take, 10 seconds to check? All right? Questions there, all good? I think I got one more to review with you before we start today's topic. Page 34. Page 34 right now. We're in quadrant 4, and I know the cosine. Find sine and the angle. So what I need you guys to do right now is I'm going to walk around, draw the correct looking right triangle in quadrant 4 for me. Okay, draw the correct looking right triangle in quadrant 4. And then if you want to get ahead of me, put the 2 and the 3 somewhere if it's cosine. And draw a full bow tie if you need to, so you can see what it looks like in quadrant 4. And if you want to get really crazy, go ahead and put the 2 and the 3 somewhere on that triangle if it's cosine. What's cosine equal to as far as SOHCAHTOA goes? Hey, adjacent side is 2, hypotenuse is 3. Always go from the reference angle. So I'm putting 2 on top because that's adjacent, and I'm putting 3 on the hypotenuse. I don't know this triangle at all. I don't expect you guys to, so how can I find the third side? Pythag, go ahead. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Where are you plugging 3 in for? Yep, should be in for C. I'll ask somebody in a minute, what is the other side? Square root of the other side. 8, final side. Okay. I'll go 2. Okay, thank you. Square root of 5. All right, this problem's asking me for 2 things. What's the sign now? What's sine theta equal to? Opposite over hypotenuse. Go ahead, pick the opposite and the hypotenuse off for me. Here you go, 12. What do you got? Oh, shoot, no one even said anything to me. Well, you weren't going to stop me? No. You weren't going to stop me when Brett gave you his answer? Ashley? Darn right it should, because it's going down, right? And just to give, I knew I made a mistake because I wrote down sine and I was in the 4th quadrant, and I said to myself, my answer should be what? Sine in the 4th quadrant. Should be negative, and I didn't have any negatives on there, so that was a problem. Okay, we don't have a 12. Perfect. Here we go.
No, I'm 12.
Yeah, thanks.
Wait, I thought you were talking.
Okay, opposite over hypotenuse, Nick. Let's go.
All right, so it's negative radical 5
Over.
over 3.
Yep, thank you. And the second thing we had to do was find the angle. It's in the 4th quadrant. In your mind, you're saying, all right, my final answer has to be between what and what? If my angle's in the 4th quadrant. Here you go, 13. It's got to be between what 2 degree measures? There we go. You just got to make a decision right now. Do you use inverse sine or inverse cosine? 10? Can I give you a piece of advice? That's fine. You can go ahead, go sine. I always like to, if one's positive, I always like to go that one. Whatever one's positive. All right? Just because I know that how the calculator works and you get a better answer and less work you have to do than if you did sine. So for me, I'm going to do inverse cosine and put in 2/3. You guys that want to do sine, go ahead. You'll still get to the same spot. You'll just have to take an extra step or 2. So inverse cosine 2/3. Isn't that what they gave me in the beginning, right? Okay, that was the given in the beginning. And I get 48. Not in the 4th quadrant. That's the calculator's giving me what? Reference angles 48. What? That made no sense. Cosine's always reference angle?
That's what I heard.
No. No. No.
Sorry. I got the Friday.
Yep. Okay, 48. If that's 48, what's my angle? Got to know what to do with that 48. Oh, I don't know because I listen to Brett too much. That's why. I got 48 as my reference angle. What would I do with that 48 to find the angle in the 4th quadrant? Here's what it's asking, Nick. I have an angle right here in the 4th quadrant, which I need to find. That will be my final answer. I know the reference angle is 48. How can I get to that angle now?
So we're talking about the arrow.
Yep. The angle between 270 and 360.
Add 48 to 270.
That's,
No, that's wrong.
yeah.
Subtract 48 from 360.
Go ahead. Okay. Did anybody try sine? And go again. Did you get an angle in the different quadrant? No? Okay. Okay, there you go. Negative 48. There you go. Still a reference angle. but positive. Yep.
So to find the angle, you use the cosine, like the inverse cosine.
Or sine, whatever you prefer, because you should have both values by the time you get to this point in the problem.
And then if it's 360, if it's in the fourth quadrant, it's just 360.
Sometimes though your calculator doesn't give you the reference angle though, so be careful. Okay, like the one time it gave us an angle in the second, I had to move it to the third. We all good? Anything else here? Yes?
Do you always use the x-axis to like add 180 or subtract?
You should never ever be using 90 or 270 in your calculations, because how is the reference angle formed? It's a terminal side and which axis? The x. So when you do your calculations, 270 and 90 should never come up in the discussion. Okay? Anything else? Okay, we've been really getting after sine and cosine, but giving zero love to tangent. Yes, we've been getting zero love to tangent. So everything we've been doing the last couple days, we're going to do with tangent now. And it's not that big of a deal. Not that big of a deal. You guys know from SOHCAHTOA, tangent is OA, TOA. What's the O and the A? Opposite over adjacent. Okay. We're also going to increase that definition now to it's also equal to sine over cosine. Sine value over cosine value. Now, how many of us are on point right now? Let's go to the unit circle and tell me what tangent would be. It's sine over cosine. If you're on the unit circle, what was sine again? Which coordinate? Y, so it's going to be the y coordinate over the cosine was x coordinate on the unit circle. So I'm going to take y over x. I don't need to go through this slowly because we already know all students take classes or whatever you've already come up with in your demented minds. I could see some of you are already turning your heads. All right. Okay, here you go. Just go through it. What do you know about the first quadrant? Everything's positive. What do you know about the second quadrant? Only sine. And what about cosine and tangent? And hey, finally now, what's positive in the third? Everything else negative. And what's positive in the fourth? Cosine, and everything else negative. All right. No, that's fine. I'm not really worried. I'm teaching now, so I'm sure if it's really that important, they'll call back. All right. Same thing we've been doing. Ready? Find the value of cosine and tangent. I'm in the second quadrant. Draw your right triangle. Go ahead, draw your right triangle. I'm in the second quadrant. And if you feeling really crazy, put the 5 and the 13 in where you think it should go. Five, here we go. Sine's equal to what? As far as SOHCAHTOA goes. Just sine. No, just sine. Sine is equal to what if I use SOHCAHTOA? Okay, so the opposite side should be 5. The hypotenuse in this triangle should be 13. And again, you always go from the reference angle there. 5, 13. Hey, kids. Shoot. There we go. I asked you to remember 3, 4, 5, 8, 15. Anybody remember the other number in 8, 15? 17. And this is just to make things go quicker so you don't have to do Pythag. This is the last one I'll have you remember, 5 blank 13. Anybody know that one? 12. Yep.
That works for every problem.
As long as it's these numbers, if it's something different, I got to use Pythag. Like we just did 2 blank 3 and we had to do Pythag.
If you got 5
It's got to be on the hypotenuse.
and then 13, you know it's gonna be 12.
As long as 5's the leg and 13's the hypotenuse. Brett, I do this. You have one that looks like this. That side ain't 12.
That's like 15.
No, it's not. I have no idea what it is, so that's why I need to do Pythag. All right?
I guess so. I mean, you know it's gotta be more than 13.
You correct. Oh, well, that's a one good guess. Yes. That's why I don't put a 12 there.
It's at least 14, so I think 15.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me know how that works out. All right, before I was interrupted there. 12. We'll keep looking at each other here. All right, you guys go ahead. Find cosine and tangent now. Now that we have all 3 sides, cosine and tangent. Go ahead. Still using SOHCAHTOA? $13. What do you want to take, Lily? You can take one of them. Okay, adjacent over hypotenuse. I'm in the second quadrant, so you should give me a negative answer here. So negative what? 12 over. Got it. Tangent. 13. Look at that. Opposite over adjacent. I know it's got to be negative because it's in the second. So opposite 5 over 12. Yep. All using SOHCAHTOA there. Everyone all right? And then what's the last thing we need to find? What's the angle in the second quadrant? All right. Now you got 3 to choose from. You can do inverse sine, cosine, or tangent. What's my advice though? Even if you want to take it or not, do the positive one, which in our case is sine. So I'm going to do inverse sine of 5 over 13, what it was given to me, because that's the positive one. So second sine 5 over 13. All right, I don't know how many times we've been through this, right? What's that? Reference angle's 23 degrees. But I need the angle in the second quadrant. So you're going to have to do a quick calculation here. $16, little help.
157.
How'd you get it, Marissa?
I subtracted it from 180.
What'd you get? 157.
57.
Yep. Okay, we just did it with tangent. Same thing we did yesterday. You guys good? Any questions? Deep breath. Good. All right, here we go. Exact value again, but now with tangent. Tangent of 45, I get it. You're just like in the habit. Hey, I'm just going to do this. Tangent 45. Okay, it's 1. You got me there. Okay, you got me. I don't know. I would have liked to have done it algebraically, but hey, you check it on your calculator, it's 1. What am I going to do? It's 1. Great, you can use your, yeah, for that one, not for tan of 150 though. Oh, maybe I can get away with it again. Tangent 150. Ha! Yeah, right. Yeah, good luck putting that down.
I bet I could.
You better, if you put that down on Wednesday, I'll show up to whatever 6th, 7th, 8th period class with your test and be like, really? Is that really what we want? All right.
Technically, like, the correct answer though.
Not an exact value, no.
Does that go forever?
It does, yes.
It goes forever, Joe.
And your calculator's not going to turn it back into a fraction, unfortunately. So here we go.
And that.
Do the same thing we've been doing, guys. 150. Where am I? Second, tangent. Negative. So at least I can write negative tangent 150. 150. We know we now make it into a reference angle. And it should be 30, 45, or 60. 16, 30. Okay. Now you go to the unit circle. Think about the point on the unit circle that's 30 degrees and let me know what it is. What's the point on the, Ashley, go ahead.
Is it 1/2 pi pi 3? No,
Where-
radical 3.
Okay, I was gonna say, where's a pi coming from? Radical 3 over 2, comma.
1/2.
Yep. Okay, here's where we got to focus in now because this is going to be the new stuff. Everyone with me so far? This is what we've been doing the entire time when I need to find exact value. And then from here, usually, if we found cosine, we pick the x coordinate off. If we found sine, we pick the y coordinate off. But now this is tangent. And if you look back at the definition of tangent, what's it going to be? The y coordinate over the x coordinate. All right? So what we're going to do here is 1/2 divided by radical 3 over 2, the y over the x. And we got to clean that sucker up. Everyone all right there? Y coordinate on top, x on the bottom for tangent. And if you want to keep bringing the negative sign along, you can. Just remember it's got to be negative. Okay, how do we want to deal with this now, cleaning this beast up? We've done this year. Fraction divided by a fraction. Sure, Ashley.
1 over radical 3.
Where are we getting this from?
Like, take away the 2's.
How? You're getting there, but you got to show everyone how.
It's like divided by 2, divided by 5 by 2. Like, it cancels out like everything. So it's just radical 3.
Okay, we're getting there. I just want to show people where the 2's go all of a sudden. Marissa, what's up? Darn right you do. Right? Keep the top. Keep the top. Multiply and flip the bottom. Yep. Now what cancels out? The 2's go. And what am I left with? -1 over radical 3. Little SR here, right? Little SR. Some of you know what I mean. Self-respect. Yes. We do not leave a radical in the denominator in here.
Don't try to be here.
That had nothing to do with it.
That's the exponent.
No, no. That had nothing to do with it. Don't be a hero. Sure. I'll just agree so I can move on. What do you got to multiply top and bottom by? On top, negative radical 3. On the bottom, over. Okay. Maybe you're nervous. You know what this answer should be equal to. There you go. Can't go wrong. 10-second check to see if those decimals equal at the end. And like I said, you'll notice if you forget a negative sign. Yes, Ashley?
So if the problem just says like tangent 150,
Yep.
then you're not asking for us to solve it, you're just asking us to simplify.
What's the value of tangent of 150? That's what I'm asking for right here.
But you got the value in the calculator originally, just if you can't write it.
Because that's not exact.
No decimals.
That's not an exact value because it would keep going on and on and on. This is an exact value of that angle tangent. Okay? And I'll tell you guys, it's going to be the last 3 problems on your test on Wednesday. Find the exact value of these 3 things. And if you write your decimals on there, you're toast. Okay? Tangent of 180. Oh, now what can I do? Calculator. 180 is on the line. Perfect. Zero. There you go. Any questions from you guys? I got one last thing to take care of before we call it a day. Just to give you a heads up here, just going to give you a heads up. I got an angle of 90. What's the cosine and the sine of it? What can you do here? Calculator, yep, go ahead. Cosine 90, sine 90. Cosine 90? 0. Sine 90? Okay. Now do tan 90 and watch your calculator explode. What's the calculator telling you? Error, because it's undefined there. Okay, it's undefined. And if you're wondering why, some of you may be wondering why. If not, I'm still going to show you. Go back to our definition of tangent. It's what over what? Sine over cosine. What was our sine value here? 1 over cosine value. And as you guys know, that's a big no-no, right? Can't divide by 0. I don't know. Try it in your calculator. Try it in your calculator. 1 divided by 0. Thank you. Okay, and then finally, which one of these following angles is tangent undefined? So you're just going to go through your calculator. Tangent of 0, tangent of 270, tangent of 120, tangent of negative 180. Which one gives you an undefined? Tangent of 270. All right, I'm not, you can use your calculator for that. I don't need to go into zeros and ones. Okay, flip the page, get going. Flip the page, get going. Good work today. Feel a lot better after today.